You have no idea what God is preparing for you, but trust me, it's bigger than you can imagine. Think about it. How many times have you faced situations where you thought, this is it, I can't go any further, and yet here you are, stronger, wiser, still standing? What if I told you that everything you've been through wasn't a mistake? It was a setup. What if the heartbreak, the failures, the closed doors were all part of a bigger plan? Because God knows what's next for you. And let me tell you, it's not ordinary, it's extraordinary. You see, when life knocks you down, it's easy to believe that's the end of the story. But what if this chapter of struggle is just the beginning of your greatest breakthrough? Joseph was thrown into a pit, betrayed by his own brothers. He had every reason to give up, but God knew what was next. From the pit to the palace, he became a ruler of nations. What if he had quit when things got hard? What if you quit now? Let me ask you something. What if your delay is not a denial, but a divine redirection? What if your current struggle is preparing you for a future you can't even fathom? God is not limited by your circumstances. He is not intimidated by the obstacles in your path. When he says it's your time, no force on earth can stop it. Doors will open that no man can shut. Opportunities will find you. People will favor you. But you can't give up in the waiting season. I know it's tough. I know the nights get long and the tears are real. But your pain has a purpose. Every setback is a setup for a comeback. And the very thing you think is breaking you might be the thing that's building you. Maybe you've been praying for a breakthrough and nothing seems to be changing. Let me tell you this. Just because you can't see it doesn't mean God isn't working behind the scenes. He is aligning things in your favor. He is preparing something greater, something that will blow your mind. So what are you going to do? Will you let the weight of your past hold you down, or will you rise with the belief that your best days are ahead? Will you let fear whisper that you're not enough, or will you declare, I am ready for whatever comes next? I dare you to believe that God knows what's next for you, and it's good. It's better than good. It's life-changing. But you have to hold on. You have to keep going. Your story isn't over yet. When you feel weak, remember, his strength is made perfect in your weakness. When you feel forgotten, know this, you are seen, you are loved, and your breakthrough is closer than you think. One day you'll look back and realize why it had to happen this way. You'll see the beauty in the struggle, the purpose in the pain. And you'll know that through it all, God was working things together for your good. So don't quit, don't settle, don't lose hope, because God knows what's next for you, and it's more than you ever dreamed possible. Your future is already in motion. Life doesn't always make sense while you're living it. There are days when you wonder, why is this happening to me? Or why does it feel like nothing is moving forward? But here's the truth you need to hold on to. Even when you can't see it, your future is already in motion. You may feel stuck, but God is not stuck. You may feel like nothing is changing, but things are shifting behind the scenes. Every disappointment, every closed door, every delay, it's not random. There's a plan unfolding that is bigger than anything you could imagine. Think about how many times have you looked back on your life and realized that what you thought was a setback was actually a setup for something better. That opportunity you lost, it made space for the right one to show up. That relationship that fell apart, it wasn't the end, it was the beginning of something healthier and stronger. You see, God doesn't waste anything. Not your pain, not your tears, not your waiting season. Everything is being woven together for a purpose greater than you can understand right now. Your delays are not denials, they are divine preparation. You're not behind, you're being positioned. Right now, there are conversations happening about you that you don't even know about. There are rooms your name is being spoken in that you haven't walked into yet. The opportunity you've been praying for, it's already making its way to you. Your future isn't a question mark to God. He's already gone ahead of you, preparing the way. But here's the key, you have to keep going. Don't give up because you don't see immediate results. Just because it's not visible doesn't mean it's not happening. Seeds grow in the dark before they ever break through the surface. And just like that seed, you are growing, even when it feels like nothing is moving. So when you feel tired, when you feel unsure, when you wonder if anything is ever going to change, Remind yourself, my future is already in motion. God is working, things are shifting. And when the time is right, everything will fall into place. Better than you ever imagined. Your story isn't over. Your best days aren't behind you, they're ahead. And even now, step by step, you're already on your way. Closed doors are divine redirection, let's be honest. Closed doors hurt. When you've poured your heart into something, when you've dreamed about it, prayed for it, and it doesn't work out, it's easy to feel disappointed. You start asking yourself, what did I do wrong? Or why didn't this work out for me? But here's a truth you need to hold on to. When a door closes, it's not rejection, it's redirection. You see, God doesn't close doors to punish you. He closes them to protect you. He knows what's ahead. He sees the roadblocks, the dangers, and the things you can't possibly understand right now. And sometimes that closed door is the very thing saving you from walking into a situation that isn't meant for you. Think about it. How many times have you wanted something so badly, only to look back later and realize that not getting it was the best thing that could have happened? That job you didn't get, it would have drained your energy and killed your creativity. That relationship that ended, it was preparing you for someone who would love and value you the way you deserve. That opportunity that passed you by, it made space for something far greater to come along. When God says no, He's really saying, I've got something better. It's easy to trust God when everything is going your way. But real faith shows up when doors close, when things don't go according to your plan. In those moments, you have a choice. Will you trust the closed door, or will you get stuck staring at it, wondering why it didn't open? What if the door that closed wasn't meant to stop you, but to guide you to something greater? There's a powerful promise that says, when one door closes, another one opens. But here's the part most people miss. You have to walk away from the closed door to find the open one. If you stay stuck on what didn't work out, you'll miss the new opportunity God is preparing for you. Sometimes the closed door isn't rejection. It's an invitation to something higher. You may not see it now, but God is always moving you forward. And when the right door opens, it'll be better than anything you lost. So, if something in your life is closed, a relationship, a job, an opportunity, don't lose hope. It didn't end because you weren't worthy. It ended because God has something better, something meant just for you. Trust the redirection. Trust that the closed door is making space for a new beginning. And when that new door opens, you'll realize why the old one had to close. It wasn't to hurt you. It was to lead you to where you were always meant to be. Your story isn't over. It's just getting started. And what's coming is greater than what's gone. Your delays are not denials. Waiting is hard, especially when you're waiting for something your heart deeply desires. You've prayed, you've hoped, and you've done everything you know to do, but nothing seems to be changing. And if you're not careful, that waiting season can whisper lies to your heart. Maybe it's never going to happen. Maybe I'm not good enough. Maybe I missed my chance. But here's the truth you need to hold on to. Your delays are not denials. Just because it hasn't happened yet doesn't mean it won't. God's timing is always perfect, even when it doesn't match your expectations. Think about this. When you plant a seed, you don't see immediate results. You water it, you nurture it, and beneath the surface, something is happening, even if you can't see it. The same is true for your life. God is working behind the scenes, preparing the right opportunity, the right people, and the right moment. You might feel like nothing is changing, but what if the delay is part of the preparation? What if the reason it hasn't happened yet is because God is building something bigger than you imagined? Sometimes the blessing is ready, but you are not. You're not being punished, you're being positioned. Every delay is shaping you, strengthening you, and preparing you for what's coming. If God gave it to you too soon, you might not be able to handle it. The waiting isn't wasting, it's working. Look back on your life. How many times did you want something to happen on your timeline, only to realize later that the delay was a blessing? That relationship that didn't work out, it created space for someone who's a better fit for your future. That promotion you didn't get, it opened the door for a career path you never imagined. That opportunity that passed you by wasn't the best God had for you. It was just a step towards something greater. If it's meant for you, nothing can stop it. And if it's not meant for you, no amount of force can make it happen. God's delays are often His way of protecting you from something you can't see yet. That door didn't open because it wasn't the right one. That opportunity didn't happen because there's a better one on the horizon. And when the time is right, nothing and no one can stop what God has planned for you. But here's the key. Don't give up in the waiting. Don't let the delay convince you that God has forgotten about you. He hasn't. Every prayer you've prayed, every step you've taken, it's all part of a bigger picture. The promise is still alive. So when you feel like time is passing you by, when you're tempted to quit, remember this. Just because it hasn't happened yet doesn't mean it won't. Delays are not denials. Trust the process. Trust the timing. Trust that God is working, even when you can't see it. And when the right moment arrives, it will be better than anything you ever imagined. What's coming is greater than what's been delayed. Your time is coming. Stay ready. Stay faithful, because when it happens, it will be worth the wait. For you're being prepared for what's coming. It's easy to wonder why life feels so hard sometimes. You face setbacks, disappointments, and unexpected challenges, and you start to ask yourself, why is this happening to me? But here's a truth you must never forget. Every challenge you face is preparing you for what's coming next. The struggle you're in today is not pointless. It's preparation. You are not being punished. You are being prepared. What you're going through right now is shaping you into the person you need to become to handle the blessing that's on the way. Think about this. If everything came easily, would you be ready for it? Would you have the strength to sustain it? God isn't just interested in blessing you, He's interested in building you. And sometimes the only way to build strength is through resistance. The only way to develop wisdom is to walk through seasons that test you. Look at the stories of the most successful people. They didn't get where they are by skipping the hard parts. They were prepared by the process. Every failure taught them resilience. Every delay taught them patience. Every heartbreak taught them compassion. And every obstacle strengthened them for what was coming next. Maybe you're in a tough season right now. Maybe you feel like you're being stretched and pushed beyond your limits. But here's the truth. You are not breaking down, you are being built up. What feels heavy today is making you stronger for tomorrow. God is preparing you for a future bigger than you can see right now. And He knows that if He gave you the blessing too soon, you wouldn't be ready to carry it. What you're learning in the struggle is the very wisdom you'll need to handle your breakthrough. Think of it like this. When a builder lays the foundation for a massive structure, it takes time, it's slow, it's hidden beneath the surface. But the taller the building, the deeper the foundation must go. And the same is true for your life. The deeper your struggles, the greater your destiny. You may not understand why you're going through this, but trust that nothing is wasted. Every tear you've cried, every battle you've fought, every moment you've doubted yourself, it's all working together to shape you into someone who is strong enough, wise enough, and prepared enough to step into the next chapter of your life. You are not stuck, you are being strengthened, you are not forgotten, you are being formed, and when the time is right, you will look back and realize that every hardship was actually training ground for your destiny. Don't despise the process, embrace it. When life gets tough, remind yourself, I'm not being held back, I'm being prepared. I'm not losing, I'm learning. I'm not breaking, I'm becoming. And when your breakthrough comes, and it will come, you'll be ready for it. You'll carry it with wisdom, you'll walk in it with confidence, and you'll realize that every step of the struggle was necessary to prepare you for something far greater than you ever imagined. Your next chapter is coming, and everything you're facing today is shaping you to thrive when it arrives. Stay ready for the unexpected blessing. Life has a way of surprising you just when you think nothing is changing, when you've grown tired of waiting, when you're about to give up. That's when things can shift in an instant. God's greatest blessings often arrive when you least expect them. But here's the key. You have to stay ready. It's easy to get discouraged when life doesn't go according to plan. You pray for a breakthrough and nothing happens. You work hard and the results don't show up. And if you're not careful, you can start believing the lie that nothing is coming. But just because you can't see movement doesn't mean God isn't working. Sometimes your biggest blessings are already on the way. You just can't see them yet. Think about it. Opportunities don't always knock when it's convenient. Doors don't always open on your timeline. But when God moves, things can change in a moment. What's been held up can be released. What seemed impossible can become your reality. One shift, one opportunity, one open door. Everything can change in an instant. But here's the question. Will you be ready when it happens? Too often, people miss their blessings, not because God didn't show up, but because they weren't prepared to receive it. They let their faith fade. They let disappointment harden their hearts. They stop believing that something good could still happen. But if you stay ready, if you keep your heart open and your faith strong, you will be in position to receive the blessing when it comes. The blessing isn't just about what God is doing. It's about who you're becoming. Are you preparing for the opportunity even when you can't see it? Are you staying faithful in the small things even when it feels like nothing is moving? What you do while you wait determines what you're ready for when the blessing arrives. Sometimes the blessing shows up when you least expect it. You think the door is closed forever and suddenly it swings wide open. You think the opportunity has passed you by and out of nowhere, a new one appears. You think your best days are behind you, but God has a way of surprising you with more than you ever imagined. Joseph was in prison one day and ruling a nation the next. Ruth was picking up scraps in a field and became part of a royal lineage. David was a shepherd boy one day and a king the next. Their circumstances didn't predict their destiny. God's plan did. And when the time was right, their blessing came out of nowhere. Stay ready. Keep showing up. Keep doing your part. Don't let delays convince you that nothing is coming. Your current situation is not your final destination. Just because it hasn't happened yet doesn't mean it won't. What God has planned for you doesn't have an expiration date. Sometimes God waits until you least expect it because that's when you'll know. It wasn't your strength, your connections, or your plans that made it happen. It was His favor, His timing, and His power. Stay expectant, stay faithful, even when it feels slow, even when you're tired, even when it seems like nothing is happening. God is working behind the scenes. He's aligning the right people, the right circumstances, and the right moment. And when it all comes together, you'll understand why you had to wait. Don't get weary in the waiting. Don't let disappointment dull your hope. What's coming is greater than what's gone. What you've lost cannot compare to what's on the way. God is not finished. The blessing is closer than you think. And when it arrives, it will be better, bigger, and more powerful than anything you've ever imagined. 6, your past doesn't limit your future. It's easy to feel like your past defines you, like the mistakes you made, the opportunities you missed, or the pain you've experienced have permanently disqualified you from the life you want. Maybe you've looked back and thought, if only I had done things differently, or it's too late for me to change now. But let me tell you this, your past does not limit what God can do in your future. No mistake you've made is greater than God's grace. No failure is final when He is involved. You may have messed up, but that doesn't mean you're messed up forever. God doesn't define you by where you've been. He defines you by where He's taking you. Think about it. Some of the most powerful people in history didn't have a perfect past. Moses was a fugitive hiding in the desert when God called him to deliver a nation. David made serious mistakes, but God still called him a man after His own heart. Paul, who wrote much of the New Testament, had a violent and shameful past, yet God transformed him into one of the greatest spiritual leaders of all time. Their past didn't cancel their destiny, and neither will yours. You are not your mistakes. You are not your failures. You are not the worst thing you've ever done. God is not limited by your history. He is building your destiny. When He looks at you, He doesn't see your flaws. He sees your future. He sees the potential you don't even recognize in yourself. Maybe you faced rejection. Maybe people have labeled you as unworthy or broken, but people's opinions do not define your worth. God does. And He says you are chosen, you are loved, and you are still called to a greater purpose. No one can cancel what God has planned for you, not even you. Here's what you need to understand. Your past was preparation, not disqualification. Every experience, every heartache, and every wrong turn has been shaping you. That pain you went through, it made you stronger. That mistake you made, it taught you wisdom. That closed door, it redirected you to something better. Nothing is wasted. You may feel like you've fallen too far to recover, but God specializes in redemption. He takes what was broken and makes it whole. He takes what was lost and restores it. Your past is not a prison. It's a platform. The very things you thought would hold you back are the same things He will use to propel you forward. Think about your life right now. How many times did you think something was over, but God made a way? How many times did you feel too weak to keep going, but He gave you the strength? If He's done it before, He will do it again. Your past doesn't disqualify you. It qualifies you for the greater things ahead. Stop believing the lie that it's too late. It's not over. As long as you're breathing, God is still working. Your mistakes cannot undo His plans. Your failures cannot block His favor. What's coming in your future is bigger than anything you've left behind. But here's the key. You have to let go of the past to embrace what's next. You can't hold on to old regrets and still reach for new blessings. Whatever happened before today, it's done. You can't change the past, but you can choose how you move forward. And when you trust God, you don't have to fear what's ahead, because His plans for you are good. No matter how far you've fallen, no matter how broken you feel, God is not finished with you. Your greatest chapter hasn't even been written yet. He is preparing opportunities, opening doors, and creating a future you can't even imagine. And when you stay open to His plan, you'll realize that everything you've been through has only prepared you for what's coming next. Your past doesn't limit your future. If anything, it's making you ready for it. No matter where you've been or what you've faced, God knows what's next for you, and it's greater than you can imagine. Every closed door is divine redirection. Every delay is preparing you for something better. Your struggles are shaping you for your breakthrough, and nothing from your past can limit the future God has planned. Stay ready, stay faithful, and trust that He is working behind the scenes. What's coming is bigger, better, and beyond anything you've lost. Your story isn't over. The best is still ahead, and God's plan for you will unfold right on time.